The recent revelations from the Ministry of Manpower about the distribution of job growth in Singapore have sparked significant debate and concern among both policymakers and the general public. The figures indicating that the bulk of new jobs went to foreigners rather than to Singaporeans have raised questions about the efficacy of government policies and their impact on the local workforce. Mr. Gerald Giam of the Workers' Party raised a critical question in Parliament regarding whether the substantial efforts and expenditures by the government to create jobs primarily benefit foreigners and multinational corporations, MNCs, rather than Singaporeans. This concern is particularly relevant given the dominance of foreign hires in the job market growth statistics. Minister Tan See Leng's response underscores the government's perspective that maintaining access to the foreign workforce is essential for sustaining economic growth. He emphasized the need to avoid short-sighted policies that could stifle growth by denying businesses access to the talent pool they require. This perspective aligns with the broader economic strategy of Singapore, which has long relied on attracting foreign investments and talent to fuel its development. However, Mr. Leong Mun Wai of the Progress Singapore Party raised valid points about the need for a more nuanced analysis of job distribution, particularly in distinguishing between Singaporean citizens and permanent residents, PRs. This breakdown is crucial for understanding the extent to which local residents, especially Singaporeans who hold citizenship, are benefiting from job creation efforts. The concerns expressed by both Mr. Giam and Mr. Leong reflect broader anxieties within the Singaporean workforce about job security, wage stagnation, and the perceived preferential treatment of foreign workers. As you mentioned, many Singaporeans find themselves in lower-skilled or underemployed positions, facing competition from foreign workers who may be willing to accept lower wages or less favorable working conditions. This situation raises fundamental questions about the role of government intervention in the labor market and its impact on the well-being of citizens. While there is a recognition of the benefits of attracting foreign investment and talent, there is also a need to ensure that these benefits are distributed equitably among the local population. Your concerns as an ordinary working-class Singaporean are entirely valid and reflect the sentiments of many in similar circumstances. The issue of job creation and distribution goes beyond mere economic statistics. It touches upon the broader social contract between the government and its citizens. You rightly point out the potential consequences of government policies that prioritize economic growth at the expense of the well-being of the local workforce. The phenomenon of underemployment, where individuals are forced to take on jobs that do not fully utilize their skills and qualifications, is a concerning trend that warrants closer attention from policymakers. Moreover, the distortion of the job market through subsidies and incentives for certain industries or foreign companies can have long-term implications for the country's economic resilience and the ability of its citizens to thrive in the workforce. It is essential for policymakers to consider not only short-term economic indicators but also the broader social implications of their decisions. Sustainable economic growth should prioritize the interests and welfare of all members of society, rather than benefiting only a select few. Your critique of the current trajectory of economic growth, which you argue primarily benefits the rentier class at the expense of ordinary Singaporean workers, highlights the need for a more inclusive and equitable approach to development. A thriving economy should be one that uplifts all segments of society, providing opportunities for upward mobility and ensuring that no one is left behind. As you rightly point out, the pursuit of economic growth at all costs is ultimately unsustainable if it leads to widening inequality and social discontent. It is incumbent upon policymakers to reassess their priorities and ensure that economic policies serve the interests of the people they are meant to represent. In conclusion, the debate surrounding job creation and distribution in Singapore is complex and multifaceted, touching upon issues of economic development, social equity, and the role of government in shaping the labor market. Your perspective as an ordinary Singaporean worker adds valuable insight to this ongoing discussion, highlighting the need for a more inclusive and sustainable approach to economic growth. As viewers, your comments, likes, shares, and subscriptions on the 2230 channel are crucial in fostering informed dialogue and shaping the future direction of policymaking in Singapore.